I want to kind of touch on something that you do as a leader that is pretty unique, different than most agency owners, uh, and that's that you have a very big founder-led approach to growth. You have a big following. As of right now, you have 49,981. You're so close to 50,000. Maybe by the end of this conversation, you'll cross that 50,000 mark on LinkedIn. But that's it's incredible. It's impressive. Congratulations. Where does that fit? Like because a lot of times founders, leaders don't, they tend to kind of be more reserved, especially in the agency world. So when did you decide I'm going to go out there? I'm going to actually be kind of a front facing leader. I'm going to approach this from a founder led standpoint. I'm going to build this following. And how has that served you so far?
It actually happened somewhat accidentally. That I had around 3,000-ish followers January of last year. And someone on my team was like, hey, you have like 3,000 followers. Maybe you should publish some stuff. So I was like, I never really thought about LinkedIn as a legitimate platform for like sales pipeline or like personal branding. I'm very introverted. I'm very private. Like I don't talk about my family or my personal life really at all. So it's certainly been I don't know. There's something that happens when you start to publish online and people pay attention that makes you feel exposed almost. So it's been really an interesting journey for me in determining what people have access to. But I was just standing in line getting coffee with one of my 8 team members, and I was like, is this post stupid? It's got a picture on me. Is that really cringe? Like, she's like, just fucking publish it, Kara, and like see what happens. I had like 8,000 followers in a week. It went viral. It was wild. It was my first viral post ever. And the beautiful thing of it, I started getting business for it. And so my mentality has been more that I'm very invested in my team succeeding. I'm very invested in my clients succeeding. And if me throwing myself out there a little bit more and growing into that vulnerability helps everyone win, I'm going to do it. And they coach me too, where I'm like, again, is this dumb? Is this stupid? And, my social media manager, Jasmine, who's amazing, she makes me like checklists and stuff for TikTok. And she's like, this one's cringe. Don't post it. Right. So I do have people looking out for me. But the funny thing about being very visible as a founder is, or as anybody, I think, is you just kind of start to get used to the shit that comes with it. Like I remember being really unnerved and shocked that like people were so mean to me when that first post went out. And I'm like, told my partner, I was like, just pick the comments I need to reply to. I can't even read them. And at this point, I had one go viral, I had like 14 million views a week or two ago. I just start to mute the notification because after 2,000 comments, like there's nothing new you're going to see. So I'm learning to have those parameters, but always keeping focused of there are people that are getting value. There are people that I am helping, and it is driving business for my agency and my team. If I stay focused on that, then it all is worth it.
It's interesting because first of all, you've had many kind of posts go super viral. And are you talking about the one where you talk about this fun mouse? Is that the one is that your biggest one?
That was my biggest one. So my biggest one before that had 2.5 million impressions. And that one has, last time I checked, 14 and a half. And it's still getting comments.
Wow. For those listening, it was a post about how like Apple has the mouse and the plug is at the bottom of it, and basically it's like a really crappy design, and you can make mistakes, so just kind of keep going. That was the essence of the post, and
that essence got lost, and people were like, what about Logitech, and these long explanations about Apple and their stock, and like, oh, you got their valuation wrong. I'm like, the whole point is that we're all doing okay.
Exactly. Like people didn't care. It was just like you're shitting on Apple. And of course you don't do that to the Apple nerds.
But that's such a great example of illustrating what I was just saying is like most won't get it, but the few who are like, I needed to hear that, that's what it's for. Like that's all that matters to me.
Totally. Tell me, like, from your perspective, throughout this whole journey, where was your tipping point in your story? Where was kind of that thing where you're like, yeah, I understand now where I'm supposed to go. I understand how this is going to work. I understand where, was it an event? Was it a series of events? Kind of what did that look like?
This one is a really interesting question for me because I think a lot of times people who have had tremendous success talk about like a single moment or some aha that has happened that changed everything. And yes, I've had a lot of game changing moments and I hope they continue to happen. But I feel like for a lot of us, we get our margins get thin, we're crunched, desperation sinks in. I've never had something that just like broke the dam down and like the flood came in and saved me. It's always been incremental. And it's painful, right? Because you just sometimes want that life raft and feel like everything's okay. But then when you do even get a little bit of a flood coming in, like there's always uncertainty, right? And I think, I mean, like Snoop Dogg is still making commercials. We're all out here hustling, right? Like nobody's made it. And if they have, you don't know their name because they're hiding somewhere. So I think I will say LinkedIn has been a huge tipping point for me. I remember when I started getting, I'm talking 5-figure retainers from posts that had nothing to do with my services. They just thought I was cool and wanted to work with me, and we figured it out. Um, Came from my LinkedIn, and I just remember having this moment like, was it that easy the whole time? But no, like I had to build toward that, right? I had to do all of this heads down work to build this agency, but I firmly believe that people buy from people. And if your bio is optimized and you're showing your work in other places, the right people find you. And again, going back to people first, like right fit relationships are everything, I think, in life.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a reason why Elon Musk has hundreds of millions of followers and Tesla has, in the millions, right? There's a reason why you see these things because at the end of the day, it's about the person. It's not about the business. Obviously, your products, your services have to back up your claims and everything that you do. Otherwise, people just won't buy from you in general. But um, it's really, especially nowadays in internet land, it's hard to build a Walmart, right? It's hard to build a faceless business because there's so many of the same businesses, right? So it's and now comes forward, okay, well, who's that leader behind that? Who's that face? Who's that person? So would you consider that to be your best growth tactic to kind of build that founder led approach, be the face? Like for the people who don't want to, what do you say to them? And do you consider that to be your best growth tactic?
Yeah, and LinkedIn is not paying me, but when I say LinkedIn changed my life, I mean it. And I think it's because I'm going to kind of double answers for a couple of your questions. I think it's not for everyone, right? It depends on your goals. But I wish that I had had less uncertainty about being myself in public spaces. I think it's really hard for a lot of us. The world is a tough place, and the internet is even tougher. And I've had a hard time on LinkedIn with hate mail and hate DMs and criticism and people who just don't want me to do well. And it's a work platform. I can only imagine what some of these TikTok influencers are going through, right?
Seriously,
Like,
Instagram. Oh man.
yeah, I'm like, you'd be amazed at some of the things people will say connected to their work profile. But again, I think it's just if you're focused on your own goals and you're doing things that are advocating for yourself and your interests and helping other people in the process, like once you get some of that backlash, it's almost worth it.